Hello, Recursive community. We have today one more episode with Dimitris Dimosiaris from Atraktos from Athens, Greece. We're very happy to welcome you here. Hello, Dimitris. How are you?
Hello. Cool. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here with us. Let me make a small introduction about you. Our guest is engineer by profession and a community builder by calling and by heart. Dimitris Dimosiaris is a co-founder of Founderhood, a platform for tech startups founders in their early stage to support and connect with all the stakeholders in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Prior to this, Dimitri co-founded ThinkBiz and Mindspace, two of the largest NGOs in Greece in the field of entrepreneurship and innovation within the Greek universities. Dimitris was also an executive at the global community of founders Sigma Squared Society. Dimitri, welcome again. Thank you for being with us and the Recursive podcast.
Awesome.
How are you?
Fine. I'm ready to start.
You're ready to start? Good.
Yeah.
So let's go. You're an engineer by profession and by education. How did you find your entrepreneurial drive?
Yeah, actually for me, the perspective I have for engineers is people who build stuff for other people to use. I was born in a family, my father is an engineer, my grandfather was also a civil engineer. So they have been to construction sites where they build very big buildings that other people were using for many years to come. So for me, an engineer is a person who builds products or stuff that other people use. And the best way, if you want to build a product, and you have to bring other people as well. And the best way to bring other people is through a company. Because through a company, you align a lot of interests. You align the financial, but also building something with impact. So for me, that was how we get into this whole thing with startups. And many years ago when I started, we didn't even call them startups. But yeah, that's the way how I got into this.
The way how it started. So do you believe that in order to become something, either entrepreneur or engineer or whatever, like a lawyer, you should have to have this peer pressure while you grow up? Not pressure, but you have to have these influences from your peers, from your parents, or this can be developed through other channels?
Yeah, I believe the way that you develop this is through role models. Pretty much as people, we copy other people. We see other people doing things and we like to do the same thing. Is the way that humans learn. When you are a child, you see that how it's growing is actually copying other people from the environment. So the same thing you do when you grow up, you copy other people. And the best thing is when you copy people who have an impact and you see some stuff that they're doing, then you decide that you want to follow the same thing and you want to copy them, but it's through role models. This thing for me was my family, for other people are, other people that they meet through their journey, their professional journey. But I believe it's through role models, how you do this and how you develop it.
That's very interesting. So you were very active from the very beginning of your studies in the entrepreneurship clubs. And how do you think that this shaped you and your skills, and what did you nurture there?
Yeah, it was an amazing journey, actually. I was very lucky to be part of all this whole thing when it was starting, because I had the chance to meet some amazing people, and I learned most of the things that I know right now. So you learn how to work in teams, which is really important, and the Greek educational system doesn't promote it so much, to work in teams, to work with other people, to create stuff and things like that. You mostly are, progressing as an individual, not in teams. But in that organizations, you learn how to operate and build stuff in teams, which is really important for me. And of course, it shaped me a lot because I have met other people who were doing some amazing stuff. It inspired me, to think bigger and bigger and doing more stuff. That's really important because in Greece there are not a lot of things that are happening. So having people who put you a pressure, to do stuff, to build more, to do more things is amazing. And for me, it was actually what saved me so much and why I continue, to doing stuff.
You used the word saved me. It's a very interesting and nice word, actually. That means that it led you to the path that you're today, and you're very fulfilled with what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel very blessed, actually, to be part of all these communities, because it was a supportive community that you don't have in other parts of Greece, and especially 10 years ago when you want to do something different, when you want to build a product or stuff like that, there weren't a lot of people to discuss about it. When you discuss, with friends, you were saying, okay, why do this? Nobody's doing this. Yeah, it was very strange, but
it's called innovation.
yeah, it's cool, but when other people don't do it, it's strange. So it's not innovation, it's strange. So, but in that community, you find people who want the same things, who want, to build stuff, who want to create something in the world, who want to have an impact. So it actually was a supportive community in the very early stage when you want to do something, and it was very important.
So you had this own personal drive of creating things and working in a team and creating things that didn't exist.
Yeah.
And so you created the community around it, so you can first nurture your very, very, very social need of developing things and developing people, and then you created the communities around you.
Exactly. Exactly, that's it.
Were you doing that from a very young age, or like you were trying to? How you were like how was Dimitris when he was like at school, or you started doing and building communities, or realizing the power of communities in the university?
Yeah, I was very lucky because some friends that I have from high school, they started these organizations. So I met them very early when I wanted to start also some things like that. And when I met them and I saw how supportive was this community, this kind of thing when you want to be, with the same people who have the same mindset, who want to build the same thing, then I realized how important it is, to have this in the very steps. And that's what I did, through my whole professional life, let's say. I want to build that community so that other people who are starting right now, they have all this. And I was thinking, by myself, that if I was in their position, I would like to have all this supportive community. And it's the same thing that we do right now with Founderhood, which we like to involve it actually in an online global innovation ecosystem. So right now, when you start a startup, you are part of the local innovation ecosystem. For example, if you start in Greece, you are in the innovation ecosystem of Greece. So you have here some investors, you have the market here, you have the talent which is available here, and stuff like that. But how can you be also part of a global one? How you could have access to other resources that exist in other places, like in the US, where they have overabundance of a lot of expertise, overabundance of money and stuff like that, but they don't have enough founders who are willing to do a lot of impressive things. So we are learning how to build this in a global scale, not only for Greece, but also for other parts of the world.
So you're actually trying to build a larger community worldwide and not just local communities in the university.
Exactly.
That support is the same course actually. If you take it deeper in the root, it's like what. It's in the first 5-10 minutes after the discussion, it's very clear that community is something that drives you. What else drives you in your life so far, in your professional development?
I like, as an engineer, when I was with my grandfather, with my grandmother, and I was working, in the village, my grandmother showed me what my grandfather has built. This building has been built 50 years, 60 years ago, and it's still there, it's still being used by people. So this is what drives me, to build something that will last.
That will last with time.
And will remain, yeah.
But here you had a reference of something very tangible.
Yeah.
And how do you believe we build communities that are not that intangible? What is happening? How do you measure it?
Yeah, you have the community side, but you have also what innovation ecosystem create at the end, and it's actually something very tangible. You have jobs created, you have new technologies and stuff like that. Everything that we use right now, the cameras that we have right now here, or all that stuff have been created by someone, and someone who was willing, to innovate. So you have new technologies, you have new drugs, you have new ways of transportation, new stuff. It's very tangible, the impact you can have there.
Different way of tangible, yeah. Correct.
Yeah, exactly. It's not only community, but it's also what this brings.
and an improvement of the society as a whole.
Exactly, and the humanity.
And you're very active ecosystem builder in Greece. You did the Mindspace, co-founded Mindspace, ThinkBiz, Founderhood now. How did you, among others, I guess?
Yeah, that's true.
What others?
I have been part of the team who is running Greek Startup Universe. It was an 8 weeks online program for Greek founders all around the globe. It ran last year and was quite amazing because we had close to 300 startups with Greek founders that participated.
Worldwide, though?
Yeah, worldwide. We had, I think, from 18 different countries, Greek founders. We had from Hong Kong to Chile, Greek founders.
So there were Greek founders from all around the world?
Yeah, exactly. Because it was fully online. So when you build things online, you could engage the whole globe. That's the great thing about it. So we brought all this stuff. We had close to 46 experts, which were also Greek, but they were also scattered around the globe. So we had people from the big tech hubs, Greeks who were living in New York, Boston, San Francisco, London, but also in other places, in other emerging markets like Asia or the Middle East or Latin America. So that was a very big program that all the startups took part, and then we connected them with Greek angel investors. Also
with
from
Greek angel investors?
Yeah,
okay,
but from all around the globe. Greek origin, as we say. Most of them weren't based in Greece, actually. They were based in the US. So we connected with them. We had also one startup that got funded through these connections. So they were a Greek team who was in Dubai, with a Greek investor who was living there, was working there, who funded this company. So it was pretty amazing to see that, in a global
So actually
scale.
They were both based in Dubai, but they didn't meet each other.
Yeah.
So they had to get the Greek connection through the program in order to meet each other and invest. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it was quite amazing also for
quite
us.
Amazing, actually.
Yeah, this connection. But this is happening when you engage in a global scale. It totally changes how things work. And we had a lot of other startups that didn't get funding when we connected them with angel investors, but a lot of angel investors remained as advisors to the startups.
Okay.
Because most of the startups, who are here in Greece, they know the problems of Greece very well. The problems of the Greek market. But this may not apply to the US market, which is a very big market and is very advanced also in a lot of stuff. But they used the angel investors that were connected to as an advisors, how to build, how to evolve their product, which is also very something very useful if you want to build something in the global market and not for the local market.
Do you believe that from your experience so far in this fair, that if someone wants to go globally, normally when you create a startup, of course you want to go globally. Do you believe that this is something from the very major first step that someone should take into consideration when starting a startup, or can you integrate it later?
Actually, it depends in a lot of ways. It depends in which sector you are, which sector you operate. For example, if you are in tourism sector, maybe Greece is the best place to start. And you have a big market, you have a lot of investors. Yeah, exactly. So you have a very big market. But if you are building, for example, something that is in the robotics field, then most probably you have to go outside, and you should see outside very quickly what's happening. So it depends.
It depends on the sector. And again, from this experience last year and from these connections that you created, do you believe that the Greek startup founder has a major difference from a Greek startup founder that is not based in Greece?
Yeah. Especially you see that when you have Greek founders based in big tech hubs like Silicon Valley or London. They have also a very supportive environment in there. These ecosystems have been built for many years. They are large by a lot of ways, and they have a lot of experts, a lot of people to help you in pretty much every industry. And you have a lot of people, to talk as investors. They have different mindset, the investors there, and stuff like that. So you see the opportunities that they have. These people, that a person who is located in Greece, and especially if it's located not in Athens, but in a minor city, in another city, like Xanthi, which has also a big university, like Thessaloniki, or you are in Crete, you see how they lack these opportunities and how important it is for them to be connected with the global resources.
So from the one side, you say that they lack these opportunities, but from the other, you say that it's easier than we might think to gain access to these mentors and to this world.
Yeah, if you do it virtually and you bring that people, because even that, for us, for example, to find these people, these experts, we talked with a lot of people. We have a lot of people who rejected also the idea to be part of this.
Okay.
So it's not very easy. It's not like you open LinkedIn and you can find very easy a Greek one who is based, I don't know, in Boston or in New York or in London and wants to help someone back in Greece and wants to invest some time on this. It's not very easy. So that's when programs like that are happening, it's very easy, to do this thing. But
so someone is doing all the work of the asking and the looking.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And that's very inspiring work and useful. So you spoke about mentors and role models a lot so far. Why are they so important in your opinion? And what do you have a mentor or a role model in your life that has really changed you the way you see things or evolved you in a way?
Yeah, we have some mentors, and there are different mentors, in programs. When you go through a program, a startup program, usually they have mentors and stuff like that. And some of them are really important because what a mentor can help you do very well is it can give you a perspective outside the day-to-day operation, because you run the things and you are very into them and you are very into the day-to-day things. You have a lot of urgent things to take care every day and things like that. But a mentor sees the things outside this and can help you see the bigger picture much more clearer, which is super important for me. Regarding the people and the role models that I see and I want to be is, as I mentioned, it was my family, the first role models that I have. And now what I see a lot is, people who are living in other countries. Who have done some exceptional things, who think very, very clearly in some ways. So one of the guys that I admire a lot and I see a lot is Peter Thiel, for example, who is a person I haven't met ever, but I have seen, and I like the things that he builds and the way he thinks. So for me, the role models is not a person also that is here. You can have a role model which is very far away.
Okay, that's promising.
And yeah, for a lot of people, is Elon Musk, for example, or stuff like that. People like them are people who I see, Peter Thiel, for example.
Good. So from your perspective, as you have met many founders and many founders of startups in your career so far in your life, are there any repeatable patterns, behaviors that most successful founders follow or have?
Yeah, I have quite a lot of experience with Greek founders because I speak with them every day through the things that we do. And I have also some experience with Europeans, and I see, the difference that I mentioned before, the different opportunities that they have. And in Greece, if you want to start something, especially if you want to grow it in a very global level, you need to be very persistent because here the things are 10 times more difficult in a lot of industries and in a lot of sectors to start. And in most of them, you need to persist a lot. But if you build it here, most probably you can build it everywhere in the world. That's also something very encouraging.
You believe that Greece is a very good pilot place for creating something and then expanding it abroad? Or
not exactly. It's a great place to see if you really like what you are building.
Okay.
Because you have to overcome so many obstacles in most of the sectors. I believe that in other countries it's much easier to start a lot of things. But here in Greece you have to fight a lot.
There is a bigger competition in other countries? I mean, like from your experience, if you're in the United States, in Silicon Valley, the competition is major. Here in Greece, the good startups, they can stand out through the startup ecosystems, incubators.
I believe exactly the opposite.
Okay, good.
That, in a very big ecosystem which is very mature, the best will stand out. But in a very mature system, or when you don't have the market here in Greece, the market is mostly funded by the government, by the European Union and stuff like that. So you don't have a lot of market conditions like in a normal market. So you cannot get the best feedback in a lot of things of how to build your product, how to develop it. And you have a lot of obstacles also. When we had, for example, don't get it even to the company level, when you get it into the organization level, when we're building Mindspace, for example, which is, okay, a student organization inside a university, and the university should support it, for example, something like that. We had exactly the opposite. The whole university pretty much fighting. You had the left students who fight this. You had the rector and the whole university who were fighting also this. They saw it as a competitive. They didn't even send, an email to all the students to promote our activities or stuff like that. So if you build something in Greece, then you definitely want this to be built. You prove that you want this yourself, and that's the most important thing, I think.
It's interesting because you say that you had a lot of opposition, let's say.
Yeah.
But you're smiling while saying it.
Yeah, that's true, because that really pisses you off and you want to change this. Yeah, it gives you a bigger drive, actually, to build things and to change them. Yeah, you have a bigger drive, I think, to do this. And that's the difference also that comes also to startup founders. You have bigger drive to change things and do things in your way.
You said about startup founders. Do you have like a favorite answer you ask startup founders?
Yeah, I'm not an investor.
Question, I'm sorry, a favorite question.
Yeah, I'm not an investor or stuff like that, but the thing that I ask is the community, I will say. Question is, okay, how can I help you? I don't know a lot of stuff, but I have met a lot of people through this journey. So even if I don't know something, I can connect you with a lot of people. And something that I do, I try to find time to do every day, pretty much. I do some connections with people in my network, but I'm not expecting anything in return.
Okay, so although you can connect them with a lot of people, isn't it very important to know who they want to be connected to? Or that's your role also?
Of course, that's what I ask, is what you're looking for. You are looking for clients in that industry. Maybe I know someone who can introduce you to some clients. Do you want funding? I know some people here in Greece, but I know some people abroad who can help you in this. What are you looking for?
So if you would give your brains, let's say, borrow your brains to our audience, it would be to be very specific of what they want. Yeah,
exactly. But most people know what they want. Some of them, they are not ready because a lot of people are looking, right now for investors. And they should be looking for clients for some areas. And that's also an important thing. But what I can do is that thing. I can make connections, cannot do anything else. I don't have an experience in a lot of industries. I know pretty much what's happening in the tech industry, but besides that, I don't know what's happening, for example, in the tourism sector or in the agriculture sector. So I cannot help a startup which is there in that sector.
But in the Founderhood, you have the ecosystem of people that know about these sectors. That's exactly what you're
that's what we're trying to do.
Complementing each other.
Yeah, exactly. Right now we have our first product. So the first product is actually targeting people who are running programs for startups.
Okay.
And can help them through the whole program, through the application phase until the end of the program, and can help a program which is running offline, either in hybrid mode or in a full online mode. And even if the program has very few startups, hundreds of startups, like the programs we have done. But we are looking to add a lot of other stuff on this in the future. We like to add also the angel investors in that community, in that innovation ecosystem we are building. We are looking to add also VCs, early stage, late stage. We are looking also to add some other experts and scouters and stuff like that. So, but our very first product is a very small portion of what we like to build.
Okay, so you've created that because you found a gap in the Greek, let's say, ecosystem of that kind of supportive mechanism. What supportive mechanisms, although it exist in the Greek ecosystem, that do support startups?
Yeah, you have, right now you have pretty much everything that you expect to see. You have incubators, you have accelerators. You have some other organizations that are trying to build stuff. You have some communities as well, and things like that. But still we are missing a lot of elements. Still we are missing a lot of elements that you need in order to grow in the very first steps, like the market in a lot of sectors, the people who have the experience through all the steps of a startup. So we still miss a lot of things. We still miss angel investors, for example, here in Greece. We don't have a lot of.
We don't have, and angel investors outside of Greece that are aware of what is happening in Greece and could invest in Greece.
Yeah, it's very difficult actually for them. We are talking with a lot of people from the States, and they don't have any people, to connect back here in Greece, because most of the programs are running around Greece. They have Greek experts, Greek mentors, Greek sponsors. Everything is Greek, pretty much. But they don't include people from outside. Although there are a lot of people that want to get involved and help in any way they can back in home.
Okay, and I would like to talk also about the leadership. How important do you believe it is the leadership in a community-guided, in a community-oriented solutions or projects?
Yeah, you mean about startup founders, or you mean about communities like Mindspace, or?
Through your journey of creating the communities, the Founderhood, and interacting with angel investors, startups, and all this ecosystem all around the world, you have met many great leaders. What is your definition of a good leader?
Yeah,
a great leader
is a person who really cares about what he's doing. That's for me the most important thing. And the other thing is that he treats the people around him in a very kind way, in a very fair way. These are the two things that I look up, to leaders who do this stuff, who really care about what they're doing, their industry, their product, and they're really treating, other people very fair in their companies.
How do you believe what do you believe is your biggest strength as a leader?
Yeah, maybe someone else from my team could answer this question better than me. But I strive with these things. The first thing is to treat everyone fairly, and that's because a company or an organization is a mix of people, and every person wants to be treated fair. That's the very first thing, and the next thing is that. They want to feel that they contribute to something big and they're part of this. So for us, and both when I was in the organization, we had 40 members. We included most of them, all of them actually, even people who were just a month or some weeks in the organization, to big strategic decisions. And we discussed it all together. And the same thing I do at the companies that I run right now, at the Founderhood and in other stuff that we run, in other projects. We try to engage everyone on this, and everyone to feel included on this and feel, that they're contributing to something bigger. And that's really important. That's when you feel fulfilled, actually, when you treat it fair and you contribute to something bigger.
Dimitris, through your experience and through your work, you have met and worked with many young people that are from school, universities, and then later they created their startups. How do you see and how do you, let's say, spot the potential amazing leader of tomorrow of a new startup from a young age? What are the characteristics you really value in a young person, 18, 20 years old?
Yeah, that's actually a very difficult question. It's a question we try also to see in Sigma Square. Sigma Square wants to have the people who are under 18 to 26, and they want to create the future, the future innovation and stuff like that. So we regularly ask this kind of question, and how can you spot this? And the thing that I have found personally, and I believe that's really important, is to think for yourself, and that's very difficult to do, especially when you are young. When you are young, you want to feel appreciated by your peers, so you want to do stuff that your peers are doing or they are cool things. But if you want to create innovation or you want to create something new, you have to have the courage actually to do something totally opposite. So not to go with all the cool trends and behind all this stuff. And in order to build that, you need to think for yourself, which is very, very difficult. Most of the things, come from the outside, and you want, to do something that everyone is trying to do. And that's the most difficult thing actually to do in a very young age. Because you have all this social media and all this stuff that you want to be promoted as someone who is cool, is in stuff or is doing all the cool stuff and all the stuff that have the approval of the peers. But if you want to do something completely different that doesn't have the approval of your peers or this stuff is very courageous actually, and very few people do.
When was the last time you did something that didn't have the approval of your peers?
It was when I started on all this stuff. I started with the startup, let's say, environment. As I mentioned, when I started this thing, and I went to discuss it with my friends, because that's most probably the first thing that you do. Nobody approved it. They laughed at me. Said, why do this stuff? And the same thing pretty much happened with my university friends and all that stuff, because back then it wasn't all this trend around startups. Right now, if you say I'm running a startup or I want to create a product, is you are very cool. Is the thing to do. But 10 years ago in Greece, you didn't have the approval of your friends. The cool thing was to finish school, then go for a master, and then go to work in a prestigious company. If it's a consulting company, even better, or stuff like that. Or if it's Google or something else, big name, even better. But to start your own thing, especially in Greece, 10 years ago, it was, why do this thing?
Are you a supporter of someone starting his own thing very early in his life?
It depends. It depends. How much you like to do. You care about the thing you want to build. So it depends. If you don't care about building something, you will learn some cool stuff. You will meet some cool people as well. But it will be that. Most probably, you should see if you could invest that time maybe in doing other things that you care a little bit more. It depends on this thing.
It depends on whatever you really want to do something specific, or you just want to do a startup.
Just for the sake of doing it.
Just the sake of doing it.
Or just, to have the approval of your peers.
How to look yourself, in your opinion, from a distance and realize which from the both cases are you, if you're very young?
Which of the cases?
How to realize... If you're 18, 20 years old, that you're the case that really wants to do something, or just wants to build a startup for the sake of building a startup, and to take a step back. Who can help you in this?
I believe nobody can help you. You have to find it, by yourself. But it's like finding your love in real life. Finding a partner, when you have found it. When you have found it.
When you know, you know.
When you know exactly, and you actually, I have found that a lot of people say, find something that you love, but you love a lot of things, and this world, has changed a lot. You love, for example, some specific kind of food, but you don't care about that specific food, for example. Maybe you care about your health or some other things, but I believe the care is the best word that I have found, to describe this. When you care about something, you spend the time on it. You want to make it perfect. You care about, all the minor details, actually.
Okay, so you also use the word persistence.
Yeah.
And if I could sum up the last sentences, it would be that if you should not only find what you love, but also what you care for, and act with persistency on it and consistency in order to succeed in an organized environment, a community that you feel you belong to, and have a global perspective for the things you do, and looking for support.
Yeah, that's the ingredients actually you can control in a way.
And what about the ones we can't control?
Yeah, this is that's much
That
more
we can
difficult.
say
You know,
here,
it's it's very important also timing in a lot of stuff. You might do something very interesting, something that you like very much, something that you care also to make it work, but maybe the timing is not the correct one, or it can be in the next 10 years. But yeah, that's something that you cannot control very well.
Talking about timing, we have Greek unicorn now.
Yeah.
We've already this amazing success story, and many unicorns.
Yes, yeah.
What's your prediction on the Greek ecosystem from your point of view? And do you see or expect many more Greek unicorns to happen, and why?
Yeah, it's very cool what's happening, but if you see it from the global perspective, the same thing that's happening in Greece is happening pretty much in every part of the world, of the developed world actually. In 2010, there is a list on CB Insight site that has all the unicorns from around the globe. And if you see that list, you will see on 2010, you had, I think, 16 unicorns coming only from 6 countries. And in 2020, you had 100 and something, I think 60, coming from 58 countries. So the same thing is happening in other ecosystems, not actually in Greece. And every developed ecosystem, even in Balkan region, if you see it, you have also some other unicorns. Turkey has its own unicorn. Bulgaria, I think, had its unicorn as well. So the same thing applies for the rest of the world. So it's not happening anything super special. And seeing, with the Greek ecosystem, I'm very optimistic about the short term, about the next 5-10 years. But I'm quite pessimistic about the long term, 50 years plus.
Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, because right now, as you mentioned, you have a lot of, and as I mentioned before, with the statistics, you have a lot of global competition. Everyone is trying to build a tech sector. Every developed country is trying to build the same thing. But the resources are very scarce. You have the money, you have the entrepreneurial talent, you have also the market, you have also the people who are working in the companies. So it's a talent, but not entrepreneurial, the people who take the risk, but it's coming from the people who work in that companies. And these resources are scarce in the world. They're not abundant. And I believe that in the end, you are going to have very few winners. The same thing that's happening in pretty much every sector. If you see, for example, the social media sector, when it was booming, everyone was building social media, but at the end you had one very big winner. You had Facebook or Meta, as it's right now. And the same, I believe, is going to happen in the tech sector. And I believe that a lot of countries are focusing on
natural selection after all.
Yeah, exactly. That's and you have the resources that are scarce. If you had abundant resources, then okay. But when you have very scarce resources, it's not going to happen. And a lot of countries, they're trying to focus on the tech sector right now, when most probably they should invest in other sectors.
Okay, so what do you think that are the biggest challenges that the Greek startups are facing in order to scale?
I believe the very first thing starts from here in Greece, when you start from the ecosystem here in Greece. And I believe we have poured a lot of money in the VC sector or other sectors, but we haven't grown the community in a very, let's say, organic way. And we don't have in the community engaged a lot of entrepreneurs who have done some amazing stuff. I believe those people are engaged in other type of roles. They're running their own companies most probably, or maybe they are on the VCs, but we don't have any community leaders that have done some amazing stuff that everyone looks up to, and they are open for everyone to meet.
Okay.
So I believe we don't have a strong community around this. And you need to find pretty much your own path. And a lot of programs that are running, incubators or accelerators have a lot of mentors, experts, or stuff like that, but it's very difficult to bring a person who has a huge experience, has built some really great stuff in that programs. And I don't see that happening in a lot of programs.
So do you think that this is the major, let's say, backstep for systematic success and expansion of the Greek startup ecosystem?
Yeah, exactly. And if you see, because if you start studying a lot the ecosystems, a lot of organizations in other places, you see that they all had this ingredient. They had some amazing people who have built, who had all the experience, who have built some amazing companies that return and they actually want to be the leaders of the community. So you could see, for example, in France, you could see incubators that have built, they are public incubators, but their impact is huge. They have built unicorns, they have built $1 billion company, just one incubator. But this is happening because they have brought the right people, and they have given, they decided to lead the community, not from the investor perspective, not from other stuff, just to lead the community. And I don't see that happening in Greece. And right now you need pretty much to find your own path in Greece in a lot of things.
Okay, that's good food for thought also for and place to improve.
Yeah, that's my opinion, and yeah, that's something that a lot of people don't agree with me on that. They believe, that pouring money, for example, into the investment community is the best thing to do. But I believe the best thing to do is to do other stuff. Is
nurturing, mentoring, curatorship.
Actually, to bring 2 or 3 leaders of the community that would be entrepreneurs, startup founders that every Greek new founder will look up to. For example, you could bring Dandrakis, who has built Taxibit, or if you can bring that people and make them leaders of the community, then
with an active role.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
Just
that will be open. They will organize stuff. They will do things, and you can give them. If you didn't give them money, for example, in the investor sector, and we give them to that people, very less money actually, they could do a lot of things because that's what they
take it forward.
Yeah. And what they have learned to do, actually, because in a startup you do amazing things with very few resources, especially in the very early stage. You don't have billions of money, you don't have the great branding. But these people have done this. They have built something really great from absolutely nothing. And if you build them as a community leaders, you can have a huge community. And there are books also written about this thing and how communities have started in other places where there were very small cities, for example. They had 200,000 citizens, and they have built some ecosystems with 3 or 4 unicorns coming from it.
Which would be the book you would recommend on community building?
Brad Feld actually has written, is one of the founders of Techstars, so most probably know Techstars. Yes. And he has built about startup communities, I think it's called the book, if I remember well. The title, because I'm not very well with the titles. But he has written about this book and how they build the ecosystem in his town, in a very small town in Colorado. So you see that you can build amazing stuff. And I have seen the same pattern also in the other stuff of the world, like the incubator that I mentioned in Paris, for example. I have seen that happening in Belgium, in organizations and stuff like that, but all had the same ingredient. And it wasn't, pouring money into the investment community. It's okay, but you need to do other stuff as well. Or another important thing is media, for example. I believe that the Recursive team and all you do is one of the most important things, because the storytelling is very important, and you need to persuade more and more ambitious people to choose that path of career instead of going, for example, to work in other sectors, like in consulting companies that I mentioned before, or in banking sector. So storytelling is also very important.
Very, very, very interesting.
So have a lot of perspectives that are very against, with most of the people that I talk to here in Greece.
So we talked about successful leaders, about successful startups, about successful countries and incubators. What is success to you?
Yeah, for me personally, is it comes back to all the things that I said in the very beginning. Is building something that many people will use and will have a lasting impact. That's for me what success looks. And I'm pretty envy when I see a person building a very successful product. I really want to build something similar. I'm not so excited about you have also the business side and making most people see the billions and all that stuff they make, but the really fulfilling thing is I believe that, and that's what will last actually.
Will last. And what do you value most in people? What does Dimitri values most in someone?
Yeah, again, it comes to it all comes back to the same thing, is what someone cares about. That's the most important thing. And I have found a very question that Peter Thiel is actually asking, and for me, I have tried in some conversations, and it's really working really amazing. And I ask, for example, people who want to join Sigma Square, I ask them, teach me something I don't know in the next minutes of the interview. So when someone tries to teach you something, it's very difficult. It means that he actually knows this thing, and he actually cares about this stuff. It's a very difficult question. It seems very easy question to ask, to answer, but when you think about it, it's very, 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 very difficult to ask. And the other question that I like very much that also Peter Thiel is asking is, what's the one thing that most people disagree with you on? And that's also, you can see if someone is thinking for himself and he cares about what he's doing.
What's the one thing that most people disagree with you?
I believe, yeah.
I had to ask.
Yeah, that's true. When you say that thing, I believe that the next big early stage innovation ecosystem will not be in a physical place. And a lot of people, think it's going to be, for example, in Greece. For example, in Greece, we have a lot of cities that claim to be the next Silicon Valley. We have Patra, we have Athens, Trikala, Thessaloniki, a lot of cities. So you have also the same in countries as well. But I believe it's going to be online.
If I'm not mistaken, we have the first metaverse ministry in the metaverse or something. Just like launched a week ago.
I'm not so sure, about metaverse. I don't have an opinion about that thing, but I believe it's going to be online, and that's the thing actually we're trying to build on Founderhood.
Can you teach me something?
Yeah, actually, I can teach. Yeah, I can teach you, about this, how you build. I grow an interest on how to build an ecosystem. That's very weird, actually, right now that I'm thinking. But that's a thing that I started, watching a lot, and that's the things that I explained to you before. It was something that maybe I was teaching as well. That from what I have seen, to build an ecosystem, you need that thing. You need a strong community, you need strong leadership, but people who are going to be for the community, not for the investor side or stuff like that. Because if you are an investor, for example, in a VC, and you are we have some great, for example, case and some great founders here in the VC sector. But when you are in the VC, you have also other motives. You have to return the money to the people who have given them to you, and other incentives that are not aligned very well, as well with building a community and doing also the long-term things. The first thing is, to build leaders, to bring some people who have really done this thing, and everyone is looking up to them. And the second thing is, the storytelling. I really believe in that thing, and I believe, for example, that maybe a movie will have much more bigger impact than throwing millions in investment, for example.
Okay, so your grandfather, that's the last question.
Yeah.
is remembered for the beautiful house or houses he built, among many other things, judging from you and from the result of his grandchildren, the work they are doing now. What would you like to be remembered for?
Yeah, I would like to be remembered someone who tried to build something that will progress the whole humanity. That's the thing. And I believe the same thing every young people right now will tell you, but yeah, that's a thing. That you really build something that you cared and really help the whole humanity progress, not one specific country or one specific area.
Okay.
So that's we are trying also to build with Founderhood.
It's again thinking globally.
Yeah, thinking globally and thinking about the whole humanity, because you have a lot of difficult issues right now. You have the climate change. You have also conflicts in a lot of regions. You have the energy crisis. You have a lot, and I believe the next decade will have also some other big issues, especially around climate. It will impact a lot of things, both the energy, both the water, especially in a lot of places, and things like that. And this might bring a lot of challenge. The population of the world is also growing very fast, so we need solutions in a very urgent problems, and the thing that I believe is that innovation can come from everywhere, not from very specific places, as it was used to happen in the past. And we need to include all of them as well as fast as we can in order to solve all these global challenges. And I believe that's the thing, at least we are trying to do with Founderhood. And even if we don't achieve it, it will be great, to leave something that someone else might take it from there.
Perfect. Thank you very much for today. It was a very insightful discussion on community and leadership. Thank you very much for being here with us, and keep the great work. We'll be following you. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Next on the Recursive podcast, we meet with Galia Yordanova, the co-founder and CEO of Gaida AI, the tech company that tries to reinvent the way people buy and manage properties.
From the start of our journey in entrepreneurship with technology, I knew I want to stay there. I want to stay there forever, basically, because I was meeting smart people. I was talking and brainstorming about interesting problems. So it felt like a place where you have a very long path to develop. Yourself and people around you would be on constant training on steroids, basically. So I knew it's something I really want to be into, which is different from a mindset where somebody comes to make some cash and get out. So I'm not sure what's relevant for the second example, if somebody is just here opportunistically to build something and sell it in a couple of years, which is also possible nowadays. But definitely, if somebody wants to go in that field and stay there, I would advise them not to listen to people who say they shouldn't touch code, they shouldn't bother to go deeper into anything which is more technical, because they kind of have a different strength, or they have a different role, or it's too late, or it's too complex, or it's waste of time, these were the things I was hearing in the first years, basically. Don't go there, it's not for you, it's going to be boring, it's going to be, it's overcomplicating stuff. You have a role, whenever you're switching from your role to learn something there, you're basically wasting time for the company as a resource of the company yourself. And I think that's wrong. And I was very lucky to have teammates, people in the team who actually went out of their way, and we were staying late nights after 10 p.m. In the office. So they were showing me how things work. We were basically writing code. I was at the start, I was just looking at them writing code, and then I started to play with it a little bit, slowly, and this actually strengthened my passion for the field. And I know I'm not going to be a strong performer in that field, but I have a much deeper understanding of how things work, how teams work, how the minds of those people work, which makes me a better business person in the role of the company.
And if you're just as passionate about innovation as we are, hit subscribe for the Recursive podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. We're everywhere.